Buddy the Brave, the dog who stood up to bullies. Timothy was a 12-year-old boy living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. He was small for his age, with a mop of brown hair that always seemed to fall into his eyes. While Timothy had a kind heart and a sharp mind, he struggled to make friends at school. Other kids often teased him for being shy and preferring books over sports. The one constant in Timothy's life was Buddy, his golden retriever. Buddy was more than just a pet. He was Timothy's best friend. From the moment Buddy entered their home as a puppy, he and Timothy had been inseparable. They spent countless afternoons exploring the woods behind Timothy's house, playing fetch, or simply lying in the grass watching the clouds drift by. But as much as Buddy brought joy to Timothy's life, school was a different story. For months, Timothy had been the target of relentless bullying. A group of kids in his class, led by a boy named Ryan, found pleasure in tormenting him. Whether it was tripping him in the hallway, calling him names, or stealing his lunch, they made sure Timothy felt small. Buddy could sense Timothy's unhappiness. Each morning as Timothy got ready for school, Buddy would sit by the door, his tail wagging slower than usual. Timothy would kneel down, pat his head, and say, "Don't worry, Buddy. I'll be back soon." But the dog's soulful eyes seemed to ask, "Why are you sad?" One afternoon, Timothy came home with a tear-streaked face and a torn backpack. His mother was at work, so the house was empty except for Buddy. The golden retriever greeted him enthusiastically, but as soon as Timothy sank to the floor, Buddy's demeanor changed. He nuzzled Timothy's arm and let out a low whine as if to say, "I'm here for you." Timothy hugged Buddy tightly. "I wish I could take you to school with me," he whispered. "You'd protect me, wouldn't you?" Buddy wagged his tail in response as if to say, "Always." The bullying escalated one day when Timothy decided to take a different route home to avoid Ryan and his gang. He thought he was safe until he heard the familiar mocking voices behind him. "Hey, Timothy, where are you running off to?" Ryan called out, followed by laughter from the other boys. Timothy's heart raced as he quickened his pace, but they were faster. They caught up to him near an old park, shoving him against a fence. "Why don't you fight back?" Ryan sneered, pushing Timothy's backpack to the ground. "Or are you too scared?" Timothy didn't respond. He felt tears welling up in his eyes, but before they could fall, a loud bark shattered the tension. Everyone turned to see Buddy sprinting towards them, his fur glistening in the afternoon sun. Buddy positioned himself between Timothy and the bullies, growling low and steady. His usual playful demeanor was gone, replaced by a fierce protectiveness. The bullies froze, unsure of what to do. Ryan tried to act tough. "It's just a dog," he said, though his voice wavered. But when Buddy barked again, louder this time, Ryan took a step back. "Let's get out of here," one of the boys muttered. Reluctantly, Ryan and his gang retreated, casting nervous glances over their shoulders. As they disappeared, Buddy turned to Timothy, his tail wagging as if to say, "You're safe now." Timothy knelt down and hugged him tightly. "You're my hero, Buddy," he whispered. That evening, Timothy told his mother what had happened. She was shocked and proud of Buddy's actions. "He's not just a good boy, he's the best boy," she said, scratching Buddy behind the ears. News of Buddy's heroism spread quickly. Neighbors stopped by to praise the dog, and Timothy found himself feeling something he hadn't in a long time: pride. For the first time, he felt like he wasn't completely alone. Buddy's protective instincts didn't stop there. Each morning, he would follow Timothy to the end of the driveway, watching until he disappeared from view. In the afternoons, he would wait by the door, tail wagging in anticipation. Timothy no longer dreaded walking home, knowing Buddy would always be there for him. Despite Buddy's intervention, Timothy wasn't sure if the bullies would leave him alone forever. A few days later, he saw Ryan and his gang lingering near the park on his way home. They didn't approach him, but their smirks and whispers were enough to make his stomach tighten. What they didn't realize was that Buddy had started following Timothy discreetly, staying a few paces behind. When Buddy saw the bullies, he stepped into view, his presence a silent but clear warning. The boys froze, exchanging nervous glances before quickly walking away. Timothy smiled for the first time in days, knowing Buddy had his back. Word of Buddy's bravery reached the local news. A neighbor who had witnessed the incident shared the story, and soon a reporter came to interview Timothy and his family. On the day of the interview, Buddy seemed to understand he was the star. He sat proudly next to Timothy as the reporter asked questions about what had happened. "Buddy isn't just my dog," Timothy said. "He's my best friend. He made me feel safe when no one else could." The story aired on the local news, and Buddy became a minor celebrity in the neighborhood. Kids who had never spoken to Timothy before started saying hello to him at school. Even some of the teachers commented on how brave Buddy was. With Buddy by his side, Timothy's confidence began to grow. He no longer walked with his head down or avoided eye contact. Instead, he held his head high, knowing that he wasn't alone. In class, Timothy began participating more. He even volunteered to present a project on golden retrievers, sharing Buddy's story with his classmates. By the end of his presentation, even the students who used to tease him were clapping. Ryan and his gang, meanwhile, kept their distance. The memory of Buddy's growl and sharp bark was enough to keep them in check. Timothy's newfound confidence inspired his school to take action against bullying. The principal invited Timothy to share his story at an assembly. With Buddy sitting proudly by his side, Timothy spoke about his experiences and how Buddy had protected him. The assembly ended with a standing ovation, and Buddy was officially named the school's honorary protector. Timothy felt a sense of pride he had never known before. For once, he was being recognized not as the shy kid, but as someone who had overcome his struggles. Buddy's story resonated beyond the school. The local animal shelter contacted Timothy's family, asking if Buddy could be the face of their new anti-bullying campaign. The campaign featured Buddy in posters with the slogan, "Stand up for what's right, be a buddy." Timothy and Buddy attended events at schools and community centers, sharing their story and encouraging kids to treat each other with kindness. Buddy, with his wagging tail and gentle demeanor, won over everyone he met. Buddy's story resonated beyond the school. The local animal shelter contacted Timothy's family, asking if Buddy could be the face of their new anti-bullying campaign. The campaign featured Buddy in posters with the slogan, "Stand up for what's right, be a buddy." Timothy and Buddy attended events at schools and community centers, sharing their story and encouraging kids to treat each other with kindness. Buddy, with his wagging tail and gentle demeanor, won over everyone he met. As the weeks passed, something unexpected happened. Ryan, the ringleader of the Bullies, approached Timothy during recess. Timothy tensed, expecting another round of teasing, but Ryan looked different. He seemed nervous, almost shy. "Hey, Timothy," Ryan began, his voice low. I wanted to say sorry for everything." Timothy blinked in surprise. "Why now?" he asked, his voice cautious. Ryan shrugged, looking at the ground. "I saw you at the assembly. What you said about feeling alone, it made me think. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you." Timothy hesitated, then nodded. "Thanks, I guess." Ryan smiled weakly. "Buddy's pretty amazing. You're lucky to have him." Timothy glanced at Buddy, who was lying nearby, watching the interaction with his usual calm demeanor. "Yeah, I am," Timothy said. "But you don't have to wait for a dog to do the right thing." Ryan's cheeks turned red, but he nodded. From that day on, Ryan made an effort to be kinder, not just to Timothy, but to everyone. The anti-bullying campaign featuring Buddy gained momentum, spreading to schools across the state. Timothy and Buddy were invited to speak at a large event in the city, where they met other kids and their pets who had similar stories. Buddy became the star of the event, and Timothy felt a swell of pride every time someone stopped to pet him and ask about their story. For the first time, Timothy felt like he had a purpose beyond just surviving school. He was making a difference. Back in their hometown, the local library organized a Read to Buddy program, where kids could practice reading aloud to Buddy in a judgment-free space. Timothy volunteered to help, and Buddy became a regular at the library, lounging on a blanket as children read their favorite stories to him. One rainy afternoon, as Timothy and Buddy were walking home from school, they heard a commotion near the park. A small group of kids was gathered around, shouting and pointing at something in the creek. Timothy pushed through the crowd to see a younger boy struggling in the water, clinging to a branch. Without hesitation, Buddy leapt into action. He bounded into the creek, paddling against the current until he reached the boy. Grabbing the boy's jacket in his teeth, Buddy pulled him to safety. The crowd erupted in cheers as the boy's mother arrived, hugging her son tightly and thanking Timothy and Buddy over and over. Buddy shook off the water, his tail wagging as if to say, "All in a day's work." The story of Buddy's latest act of heroism spread quickly. The mayor invited Timothy and Buddy to a special ceremony at City Hall, where Buddy was awarded a medal for bravery. "Buddy has shown us all what it means to stand up for what's right," the mayor said, pinning the medal onto Buddy's collar. The crowd erupted in applause, and Timothy beamed with pride. That night, as Timothy and Buddy lay in bed, Timothy whispered, "You've changed my life, Buddy. You've shown me that even when things are hard, we can make a difference." Buddy licked Timothy's hand, his eyes filled with loyalty and love. As Timothy entered high school, life continued to improve. He made new friends, joined the debate team, and even started volunteering at the animal shelter. Buddy remained by his side through it all, his unwavering presence a source of comfort and strength. The bond between Timothy and Buddy inspired everyone who heard their story. Their journey became a symbol of hope, courage, and the power of standing up for what's right. Years later, as Timothy prepared to leave for college, he looked at Buddy, now older but just as loyal. "I wouldn't be who I am without you," he said, tears in his eyes. Buddy wagged his tail, his spirit as strong as ever. Though Timothy's next chapter would take him away from home, he knew the lessons he'd learned from Buddy would stay with him forever. The story of Buddy and Timothy wasn't just about a boy and his dog. It was about the strength found in friendship and the courage to face life's challenges together. Thank you for watching us. Don't forget to follow us for more videos and like our video.